Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at, whenever you're going to be watching this video. But here I want to actually share something that I just realized. Majority drivers out there do not even have a clue that if you drive your vehicle properly, especially your Prius or any other vehicle that is similar to Prius, and I'll go through the details so you can guys actually compare other vehicles to Prius, that you can actually get, I don't know, 200,000 miles out of your original brakes from the dealer, 150, 300,000. Depends, on your, of course, on your driving habit. And in some cases, you might have to alter your driving habit. So, I'm going to start with something that we all probably heard of is engine brake. Engine brake is actually a concept that used on semi trucks. So instead of using brakes, as they're moving heavy loads, they can actually reduce the of the use of the brakes by slowing down the engine with an engine brake, and if needed, they can apply more foot brake if needed to slow down. That actually extends the life of the brakes, also prevents brakes on trucks getting caught on fire from overheating, and a bunch of other things. So it's actually was is a great feature on the semi trucks to actually have that engine brake concept. What it does is creates a vacuum in exhaust as well as intake, where engine is lack of being able to have that exhaust and that intake is actually creating a slowdown, and by downshifting, you're allowing yourself to actually slow down your truck quite easy. Toyota in their hybrids actually adopted that future and actually went and actually created that into absorbing the energy that is being created during the braking process and actually recharging the batteries. So the feature that I'm talking about on a Prius and other hybrid vehicles are actually B feature. So first I want to actually tell you guys how I actually use it. If I'm coasting and I do not need to continue keeping up my speed, but I actually just want slowly lose my speed, I will shift into a neutral. This allows my vehicle to coast, barely losing any momentum if the road is even or maybe slightly going down the hill. Now, if I need to actually, keep up the speed and hold the speed, I'll be in a drive mode. Now, let's say I'm going down the hill and the hill is not too steep, but it is steep enough where in neutral I'm gaining speed, so I'll actually drop it in D. And if the hill is even more steeper down and D is actually not able to hold the speed and actually I'm still getting speed, then I'll drop in a B. B allows me to recharge my hybrid battery to a capacity of 80%. When the capacity of 80% reached, that's when you will need to apply brakes, because B function at that point no longer is doing much work, because the alternator that's actually built a big your electric engine no longer able to absorb the energy to charge your batteries, so it no longer has a way anywhere to store that energy. So right now you need to actually apply your brake. But before you actually reach 80% or full, as you can see on the screen, um, it will actually quite a bit be slowing your vehicle down. Now, when I'm driving in the city, and and it's even, let's say, in Florida, no hills, ups and downs, I'll use B to slow down my vehicle, and it works great up to about the speed until your vehicle's speed reaches to about 20 miles an hour, and that's when to further slow down, you're probably going to start needing applying brakes. Now, of course, if you need to stop immediately, then in addition to the B, I will actually apply brakes based on how much I need. Let's say I'm coming up to a light and I see a light is red. I'll drop it in a B without applying any brakes and let the vehicle start slowing down a little. And based on the distance between the light and where the vehicle is at, either I'll drop it back into a D and a little bit accelerate, or I'll start applying a foot brake to bring the vehicle to a complete stop. So what exactly happens when we are using the B function while trying to slow down? I am not using B function to drive around town. I'm only using that to slow the vehicle down. Now, because I'm using this to slow the vehicle down and it actually absorbs a lot of energy and slows the vehicle down, I am not applying brakes, or I might be just barely holding my foot on the brake just, to let the people know in the back that I am slowing down without creating any friction on my brakes. Because remember, the faster your wheels turn and the more friction you apply to your brakes is the more brake pads are getting burned off or sanded, grind off, whatever you want to call it. But when I bring my vehicle to about 20 and then I apply the brakes, the friction maybe was big, but the amount of churns that the disc created on that pad was like maybe two, three, four churns. Barely had any time to create any exposure and heat up those brake pads, which also allowed you to have barely or almost no use on the brakes pads whatsoever. So let's look at the kinetic energy, and I'm probably going to use this screen right here. Um, when a hybrid engine, when a battery is full, it will actually pull out take the power out of the battery, hybrid battery, send it to your electric engine, which that electric engine actually sends it out to the tires. Now the process is the same, and I'm trying to see if we can find a reversal process. Let's see if we can do this. Now let's look at this. When you're applying brakes, oh, this is still that. Now we have, instead of electric engine that actually charges, we have a gas engine put out power towards the tires as well. But I'm trying to look where we can find an engine when we are when we are braking. Unfortunately, no images here, but let's say we'll use this as a reversal. And maybe go back to that image, original image. I already lost the original image. There it is. So let's say we reversed that situation. So when we are braking, we are collecting, using the engine. So pretty much, in other words, we put in the engine because the electric engine and the engine, they're kind of side by side, sharing the same shaft that's going to your wheels. So when we're braking, we're taking that energy, running it through the motor, electric motor, while the engine is actually put in a situation where it no has equal RPMs, which forcing the electric motor to actually spin faster by us slowing down the gas engine by force, creating energy to charge the battery. So because of that situation, and battery has less than it should amount of energy, which is Prius or Toyotas has done it where at 80% a battery considered to be full, At 20% capacity, battery considers to be empty because that allows the battery to last the longest. That's why in 2010, Prius they had a computer glitch where computer would actually allow the battery to charge up to 90% and drop down to 10%. Those batteries on that 2010 Priuses did not last it long. So that's why 20% is that ideal. That's why I also have a situation on my phone. So when my phone reaches 90% charge, it will actually alert me so I can turn off the cable from the phone, as well as when the battery uh, drops below 20%, it alerts me so I can actually charge my phone because I'm using the same concept that the Toyota concept was. They created as a standard to extend the life of the battery. So I hope that makes actually sense. I'm using the electric motor and the gas motor by getting it to almost still position to an idle position, where then the wheels depends on the speed I am traveling, ramps up the electric motor RPMs, which electric motor at that point acts as a generator, forcing maximum amount of energy into my battery to slow down my vehicle. Now, it also saves my fuel because now when I stop at the light and when I have to go, as long as I don't push the gas pedal to the floor, I'm using that energy that was created to push through the electric motor, which will push the wheels, and I slowly can start raising the speed without using minimum or any fuel whatsoever. So those are the concepts. I'm not sure how else to explain, but using that B feature and minimizing the use of your brakes, of the brake pedal, until the speed is unless you have to, or the speed drops below, let's say 20 miles an hour, will increase the life of your battery. I know, and I do understand that if you are still delivering papers and where you have to slow down every 3 hours, the B function will not help you no matter whatsoever. But if you're running in town, you're running between lights, you're running doing deliveries, and you're properly using B, you're not uh, going crazy. But hey, if you're one of those hustlers where you have to hit the gas pedal to the floor, you have to hit the brakes until the tires squeal on the road, the beam function will not help you. And no matter what you do, if you're not one of those drivers, you will be replacing your brakes every 20, 30,000 miles, if not even more often. So this video is for those that actually drive reasonably, uh, not switching lanes, trying to get 3 cars ahead, and just moving the traffic and actually trying to utilize B function to extend the life of your brakes. That is exactly what B function was designed. Guys, you have to understand, I do deliveries as well, but I worked the B function, neutral, and D into the habit of my driving. And unless I'm really hustling, I use I use probably about 10% of my braking of my brake paddle compared to the rest of the non-Prius drivers out there. So that allows me to extend the brake life on my vehicle. I have done that on 2004. I have done that on 2008, and right now I'm doing that on 2010. And I also have a 2015 that actually um, is my backup vehicle just in case my 2010 gives out. So, yes, I am approaching 200,000. My brakes are right now running slim, and I am looking into buying a new set of brakes. I might actually even have a screenshot here. Nope. Cart. So I am actually looking at buying a complete set of brakes, but I'm looking at performance brakes. So to reduce the heat on the drums, also to reduce the heat on the brakes. These brakes will not last as long as the original manufacturer because the holes play in the pack. Also, this rivet, not rivet, these lines in the brakes actually play a fact as well. The life of the brake pads, but they will do about 70% of life of what my original brakes did, which means I should get, if I buy this set right here, this is only front end set. If I buy this set right here, it should last me over 100,000 miles based on my driving habit. Where for some of you, that harsh driving, let's call it that way, uh, you'll destroy these brake pads and these rotors within your first 20, 30,000, 40,000 maximum. So, changing your driving habit, not being harsh on your brakes, allowing them, uh, use them only when needed. Having the vehicle that actually you can take that energy of your motion, your energy that you're actually moving down the road, and collect it and store it into a battery or capacitors, can actually change quite a bit how your brakes will last on your vehicle. I hope that made sense. If there's any question, misunderstanding, or you guys want to explain me to explain certain thing about this video more in detail, definitely comment in under the video, and I'll try to do a follow-up video or explain in the comment. Those of you guys want to talk to me personally, you guys can find my phone number in about section of the YouTube of my channel. You can also find out there an email that you can send me. If you do send me an email, also say in a comment I sent you an email, because I do not check that email account as often as I do check for the comments. So, guys, be blessed, go out, be safe and successful. And the next time when you're making a choice in the vehicle, consider maybe, first of all, I'm not getting paid by Toyota no matter whatsoever. I'm getting no money from talking about Toyota. But, by making the right choice, if it's going to be Toyota, it's going to be Hyundai or whatever, the vehicle that actually allows you to regenerate the energy that otherwise you would waste on your brakes, will actually extend your brakes. Be honest with on my 200 on my vehicle that I'm hitting almost 200,000 miles on. The only things that I have actually replaced were fuel, all liquids, so pretty much transmission oil, engine oil, coolant in a inverter, coolant in a transmission, coolant in a radiator, and oil, engine oil. Don't remember. And I have done a flash on my brakes because for the amount of miles that I put on a vehicle, usually, people change their brakes about every 40,000 miles. So they do a flash during that time. Since I have driven the vehicle for almost 200,000 without actually changing the brakes, I have done once or twice a flush on the brake fluid to make sure that I am not damaging with the dust that collected inside in the lines, and cylinders moving as you brake and all of that creating. You want to actually remove that by doing a flush to extend the life of your master cylinder as well as your brake cylinders. So that is also something a lot of people say, oh, I know how to do the brakes. Let me ask you this: when you're doing your brakes, do you just push, as you're pushing the cylinders back in, do you allow that fluid to leak out, or you're just pushing that fluid back into your reservoir? Because if you're pushing back into your reservoir, you're you're forcing your master cylinder to fail in the near future. If you're letting the fuel fluid out as you're pushing those cylinders back in, that is the correct way to do it. Now, after you completed your brakes, when you have uh, started the engine and applied your brake pedal a couple times until you found that pressure throughout the four cylinders, then you want to actually do a complete flush one more time. So pretty much flip a bottle of brake fluid into your reservoir. It's not going to pour out more than the amount of air that actually going to go back into the bottle. So you should be safe there. And then what you want to do is you want to start with the brake cylinder that is the closest to the reservoir. So that's going to be usually a front left tire. You're going to open the bleeder and let any additional fluid come out from the brake cylinder. If you're having reservoir dark fluid, you want that fluid to come out as well. Until you start seeing clean liquids coming out, you close that bleed cylinder. Then you're gonna move out to the front right tire because that's gonna be second closest. Then the left rear tire, that's gonna be your third closest, and then the furthest tire, which can be rear right tire. And you're gonna repeat that process until you see clear fluid coming through those lines. Sometimes you will see clear fluid. Then again, then you're gonna start seeing dark fluid. You might start seeing some bubbles or even foam coming out. Those are normal things. You want to make sure that all of that is out. And as you're bleeding, you're not getting air that's coming out because it's actually coming in through the thread of the bleeder. So some of you might say, "Oh, I'm constantly getting nonstop bubbles." That's because you're having air coming through the thread and then going out through the bleeder. So that's going to be an indication of where the air is coming from. So you want to clear your air out of the lines. You want to clear all the dirt out of the lines, out of the reservoir, and then you're going to get maximum life out of your brake cylinders, your master cylinder. It does not extend your brake pads life, but it does extend other parts on your vehicle, on the brake system of your vehicle life. So that is something to count as well. So guys, be blessed. Go ahead, be successful. Take care, and I'll be back with another video.